Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a wonderful panel with a filmmaker in Iran and the producers at Vice News who helped her get the project off the ground and guided her. And we will hear about how this, the behind the scenes of how you work with a team that's in a country, semi-closed country of Iran, and the challenges and how to make that pitch and how to sort of tailor it for a foreign audience. I'm pleased to introduce our panelists. First is Gelareh Kiazand. Gelareh is an Iranian-Canadian camerawoman and director of photography, working in both film and documentary. She's based in Tehran and Toronto. Gelareh has worked in Iran's film industry for many years, and she was the first woman director of photography for a featured movie. Gelareh has worked and traveled extensively across the region, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Europe, in Turkey, and she has produced work for Vice, PBS, Al Jazeera, and other media organizations. Today, we will be talking about a four-part series that Gelareh created on Iranian women breaking barriers, as Patty mentioned. Courtney Brooks is an Emmy-winning supervising producer at Vice News and managing the US digital video team. Courtney is a multimedia journalist who has worked as a senior editor at Vice, executive editor at Parts Unknown website, and planning and feature editor at Al Jazeera America. Courtney works on both US and international stories and commissioned the series that Gelareh produced in Iran. Milena Mikael Debass is a senior editorial producer on the US digital news video team at Vice. She's produced short and long form videos and series for Vice News since 2016, including a four-part series on racial justice movements outside the US on the Black Lives Matter movement. Before Vice, Milena was a producer at Al Jazeera and Huffington Post, and for this project, she helped Gelareh's team in post-production and editing. Welcome, everybody. Great to have you all. Gelareh, I'd like to start with you. Will you tell us a little bit about how this idea came about? I understand that it was first the idea to produce one piece about Iranian women, and then it led to a series. So if you could first tell us a little bit about how you conceptualized this idea and then how you pitched it to Vice.
Hello, thank you, Farnaz John. Very nice to be on this panel. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was, first of all, wanted to say I've been in working with Vice for about 10 years now. So we've always been in touch, pitching ideas and trying to see what we could do, especially out of Iran, since I've been based here on and off for about 20 years, 12 years specifically just in Iran. And it was 2020, so it was in the height of COVID. And we were looking at the effects and the impact this was having on people and their daily life. And we came across a story about women who were looking at riding motorbikes as a way of transport, because one, it was getting very expensive to buy cars due to the inflation that was happening because of sanctions. And then also people didn't want to get on use public transport. So we looked at when we looked at the women who were using motorbikes, we also noticed that there wasn't really a law for women in place that could get can get motorbike permits to ride motorbikes. And there was also there was the conversation at the time for riding bicycles. And we saw women go out and try to to show that it can be done, that because there's no law against them, that then they can actually be able to ride a motorbike, because there's like this gray area. So we started following that story, and we tried to find characters, and we pitched it to Vice to show the impact of sanctions at that time during COVID through this story. And we filmed it, we moved forward, and then we kept the story on hold. And then I was also in talks with Courtney at the time for pitching more stories. And there was this idea of if something can be developed, if there's other ideas that can be developed into a series. And we thought, okay, well, what else can we do along that same line? And we thought, okay, we'll look at more women's stories who are trying to break barriers, but through the law, and taking and using it for their daily lives. So it wasn't like trying to change something, but try to raise awareness of like using what they have and moving it forward. For example, women in sports and like fishing, just getting a permit so you can have insurance and more access. So we just started looking around the country for more stories that were related to that original idea. And in 2021, we were able to develop a series on that.